Got your cupcakes. Go.
He doesn't know how to eat it. He's just holding it in his mouth. Oh my god. He's so funny.
Why is he running off with it then?
Because he probably thinks that Zeke wants to steal it because he doesn't know how to eat it.
I have plenty of experience in biology. I bought a Tamagotchi in 1998. And
Don't know why he'd have it in his
it's
pocket.
still alive. Let's do this.
Smell that. Smell it.
No hi Raj, no Javi Raj, stranger, where's the other white guy?
This has been the whole day, pretty much.
Listen, I heard something between us. Ooh, gossip. When I first got here, I thought you Americans
Yes.
only gossiped around the water cooler. So I hung out there for like a month, but the only gossip I ever heard was about
We
some
sit
creepy guy hanging
on the
out by
floor.
water cooler.
And lay on the floor a lot of the time. Instead of our bed, that's on the floor. That's it. Going for dinner with Yana's parents tonight. And her grandparents for her birthday. Isn't that right?
I'm gonna give you the same
Isn't that right, boys?
on the TV when the bachelor's handing out roses. Follow your heart.
What do you say about that, Timmy?
Look at the size of that Rice Krispie treat. Same price.
Hey, how would I need to tell you something?
I know, it's not my wedding day, I don't care.
Bro, you good?
Listen, I
It's so
heard that bird accident.
cool in the house and you guys choose to run around in here where it's warm. Just chillax for a bit. Zeke, you good, bro?
Follow your heart.
Can I please have the keys to like deadbolt all the doors and that?
Yeah.
Okay.
What? Why? Why this? So this seems very fitting for topics I talk about on a TEDx stage because you'll see why. So I was literally talking about so what I was talking about in this, which is crazy. I posted on my Facebook page because I post on there about how I'd love to be on a TEDx stage. But I didn't just be like, yo, put me on a TEDx stage. I was like, here, read this thing, read all of my things, and if you think I deserve to be on a TEDx stage, like slide in my DMs. And this guy who runs TEDx at a university, the biggest one in WA and the bestest one, if I may say, he was just like, stop, I'll literally bring you on an event. So ask and you shall receive, and also don't assume people can read your mind, you know, like probably can't. Anyway, bye.
Got that real fan fit,
Fake fan.
as Michael would say. I am driving, Lucy. Oh, you driving, walking? Where are we going? What's going on?
We'll just walk
Alright,
from here.
let's go. Let's go.
Stop it!
I say stop it as if I'm telling.
I'm stopping. There's a voice that's like chill out, and I'm like, no, I don't want to.
No need to chill. Just excitement. Go. Be excited.
I don't know, that's just so cool. I always be like, oh, Facebook not good, but Facebook very good. Very good. Very good.
Zuckerberg took that personally.
Yeah. Oh.
Hello. It's just come from that house. Hi. Bye. I was talking to Sam about it today when we did that consult, the prospect interview thing. Or just chatted to him basically. And I always forget that 1,500 a week is 80,000 a year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wow. Because like 1,000 is 52,000 a year. But then it's like just the 500 more a week. I mean, it makes sense, but yeah, even then it's just like, oh yeah, 1,500 becomes 80,000, which is a fair bit. And yeah, just how disproportionate the hours are now for us. Yeah. And something I was talking to Sam about as well was because I was giving him some advice on his business stuff in exchange for like asking him some questions just to know what's going on in his mind, because I want to help people like him in their PT situation, and it's kind of like asking questions relative to what their goals are and seeing, okay, there's more of an online focus, you got to do things to lay the foundation for online now, start building a brand, but even like start thinking about or immediately implement like high and low ticket stuff, because if you want to have the flexibility, the freedom to move around and actually be able to make a good amount and have a high quality of people, you can't build it up on low ticket stuff. A lot of people try to build up a full income off of low ticket pricing but high ticket service. So it's like you're spending all your time, you're super focused on talking to everyone, and you charge them like $30 a week, and then you just try and get like 100 clients, and you can't really do it. You've got to run low ticket, because for some people that's going to work way better for them and it's going to be right. And then I was talking about how even for the high ticket, it can help give a pathway for your high ticket people after they're done, because then they can go, they still have the accountability, access to everything, but then they can go into that. Also, something I did want to ask about is with Billy, I got to discuss it with him, is the just paying a thing to us for Trainerise, like a Trainerise subscription, like how much you'd want to do that for per month and everything and that, so he can use that through us.
Well, what do you think?
I don't know. Do you want to hold on to this plush? I'm just going to take these big pants off.
This guy flashing everybody on the street.
Got my shorts on underneath. Oh, got too warm on the walk. Oosa. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. I don't know. It's like how much value is that, having that? Something maybe like, my pants.
Well, I'd
up to $50 a week.
Yeah, I don't know that you would like advertise it as an offer.
No, I mean like for the guys that I mentor and everything.
Yeah.
Like going after that.
Look at the sky.
It's gonna be windy.
Look at the sky.
Yeah, maybe even something like $20 a week or something. You can build up a fair few. 25. It's like per month. It's about 100. Look at the cat. Oh, I think it's gonna be too windy to use the mic. Oh no, it's alright. It's not like the other day. Yeah, this is fun walking actually. It's nice.
Yeah, gets my juices flowing.
I feel like I'm missing something for today, and that's training, because I haven't done any, so it's cool. Just gonna do some pull-ups when we get home before we go to the parents thing. I might just do that today, just go out, do a few sets of pull-ups, come back inside, go back out until we go out to see your parents. Keep it easy. Yeah, easiest setup as well. Just go out and it's already there. Alright. I'll be honest, when I saw that post about them doing their, what do they call it? Their entrepreneurship house?
Expansion mansion.
The expansion mansion. I was like, oh, something like that. And then I was like, oh wait, we are doing that.
Entrepreneur house.
Yeah, but as in like, just doing the thing itself, I'm like, oh. Then I'm like, oh, hang on. We've been doing that for a while now.
Yeah.
With these boys and us.
Yeah.
And Logan.
Yeah. Thanks, Logan.
Thanks, Logan. Yo. Just want to see how the sound is with this relative to the cats. And now there are no cars going past. So when it's like expansion mansion, do you think it's the mansion bit is because of the manslaughter thing?
Yep. Well, because also so many murder mysteries I used to watch, but like it happened in this mansion. I'm like, ooh.
I get that.
And also expansion is like a little bit of a overused word.
Is it?
Yeah.
More used than overused than entrepreneur?
Well, entrepreneur is label for a group of people, but expansion is like it's sort of been adopted by the new age group of people, believers, to be like expansion is like an elevation of a state of being.
Oh, okay,
Like,
I
as
see.
in it's like a process.
Oh yeah, that's also why on our call on Wednesday when Jacob was like, oh, you could call it like new age is the term. I'm like, maybe not new age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, I know he didn't mean it as
Yeah,
new
I know.
age. It was like, it's the new age of.
You could say new era. I think it doesn't
Yeah.
have the same association.
Yeah.
Like
Or
when
in
we
the
decided to
era?
go with clan fitness, or when I decided to do that.
When you released it, and I was like, oh. Yeah. Business mistakes 101.
Got ahead of myself.
Because we were sitting on it, and then you were like, clan fitness. And I was like,
Sort of.
Clan with a K.
Yeah. Just keep brainstorming.
Sort of.
Yeah.
That's a good start.
Yeah.
Let's not end there. Move. Oh, I can smell the food in my jacket.
Why is there poo in your jacket?
Food.
Food.
It smells so good. What the heck? I could hear someone.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, so on my post
Yeah.
about eating out,
Yeah.
I think the two main things that I had in your thoughts on it were like when someone was like, it's not all about money. It's about health as
Yeah.
well. And my answer to that to Ethan was, I'll go into it afterwards. But firstly, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think like humans are a funny breed, you know. It's like I doubt the people who are highly successful entrepreneurs don't know like about health. Like I'm sure they all have a general idea, and to be honest, if they followed that idea, they'd live a pretty fulfilling life. Like most people, you know, your bodies are pretty good at regulating. It's a funny thing that happens when you tell someone you need to do something. It's like, okay, you say, I found this a lot when I was working with women, but I think this applies across the board because brains are wired quite similarly. Although there are differences in the male and female brain, but anyway, that's a whole other topic. It's like if you tell someone you're not allowed to have chocolate, what are they gonna do? They're gonna want to have chocolate, and it's gonna be everywhere that they look, you know? They're gonna just so happen go to an event and all they serve is chocolate, as an exaggeration. But what's really funny is when you say, okay, like, do what you think is best. I'm not gonna tell you not to have chocolate, like, eat as much as you want. And like 100% of the times, the women will come back and be like, wow, it's the first time I didn't feel like binging on chocolate because I gave myself like 3 pieces, you know? And that 3 pieces, I would argue, isn't helpful, isn't healthy. Because, I mean, if you were really to be a health nut, you wouldn't have chocolate. Maybe a little bit, just a little bit. But it's like, it's a lot more healthier than the
More
alternative. It's more healthy than the whole block that they probably would have binged on later on because they stopped themselves.
If they saw it as, oh, that's not healthy, I'm not allowed to have that kind of thing.
So I think it's the same thing with entrepreneurs. You're like, you tell them, okay, you have to eat this way because you want to optimize your performance, or like you can't eat these things because they don't, like, your brain doesn't perform well on those, and it's like not optimal. I think what's funny is that that's when those entrepreneurs, like, even when I observe the big dogs in the industry, people go on keto, like Ryan Pineda, for example. He has to take 2 days for cheat days. Even though when he started it, he was like, I'm doing it for my health, for my performance. During the week, I like, it helps me a lot. But then on the weekend, I'd have to have cheat days. Otherwise, it's just not sustainable. So it's like that level of, well, he hired a trainer who told him to do keto, and as a result, in his mind, it's created this dichotomy of, when I'm on keto, I'm performing well, but when I'm not, I can't do anything optimally, which is why I think he's diverted to naturally, okay, Monday to Friday, I'm gonna eat keto, and then Saturday and Sunday, you know, he's gonna, because he doesn't work, he's gonna go have his cheat days. And then what was really interesting was seeing when he went on holidays, he told himself, because he was like, I can't perform optimally when I'm not on keto. He was eating like a variety of foods, but he just felt so like, I'm gonna, like, you know, I have to do this and this, otherwise like I won't have the clarity, because he takes his holidays for clarity as well anyway. So that's a lot of backstory. I just love observing people. But he felt like he had to stick to keto, but it was so hard because he was in like carbo or something, and they don't, like, they're not a keto friendly place. So that was really interesting. Coming back to the point, like, what's optimal, I think, is up to the person to determine. Like right now, it took me probably 2 years of telling myself, okay, I'm gonna count macros, or I'm gonna cut out this food group, or I'm gonna do this type of exercise, like weight training. It took me probably more than 2 years, 3 years, I would say, of like trialing. And I would argue that in the last 6 months since being in this house, 5 months, after like not tracking, like just going complete cold turkey, and I know that's not going to work for everyone, and also not having the expectation on myself to train, I'm naturally less inflamed. I feel like I'm leaner, and also my muscles, like I feel like I've increased my muscle mass somehow, just when I just go and train every once in a few weeks or something. And also I'm not stressed about, oh, it's Friday and I've only done 2 workouts. And I'll know when like I've kind of swung to the other side of the pendulum, when I'm like, okay, I need to come back and have some more health conscious foods, you know, more nutritiously dense foods. Nutrient dense, that's the word. That's the phrase. Yeah, I need to have some nutrient dense food. Like I'll say to Kaey-Lib sometimes, I just need to have some veggies. Yeah, so I think that's the main thing, is like optimal looks different for everyone, and you have to be so careful. Like in theory, you could tell someone this is the best way to maximize your performance, but it's like, okay, but is it optimal if they don't do it, and if they feel like they need to escape from it every weekend, you know? And it's an interesting one for entrepreneurs as well, because they would have created another prison for themselves, where the reason they got out of their 9 to 5s is so that they could have the freedom to not need to escape on the weekends, because you're living the ideal life. But then you've just replaced work with the prison of food or exercise by saying you need to do this optimally, because then they bounce back from like needing to have that optimal life Monday to Friday, because that's when they need to be on, to when they're off. And so I just think it doesn't really make sense. You've just replaced work with food, which is another prison in and of itself. People won't see it as that, but it's like your brain, at the core of it, it's like very simple. It does tend to deal with black and white, you know?
Look, the sky is so thin.
Yeah. Like your primitive brain is very simple, and at the core of it, there is like, if it's not good, it's bad, you know? That's how we categorize things. We don't deal very well with sort of. But that's what I think. That's why, like, when you work with any type of coaching, it's not, here's my process. It's, what is this human and how can we mold the process to their life? And I think that's why there was a big move away, like 2018, 2019 probably, away from like those influencer style workouts and like meal kits and recipe packs from influencers, because people started to realize, okay, that's their process, I can't just copy and paste it into my life. And so I just think saying that there's optimal and then holding everyone to that and anything less than that isn't good enough just doesn't make sense and this is because, not to throw shade, when I say that I work with a human first, I actually mean it. I'm not just going to be like, oh, human first, but give me your money and do it my way. You know, if it takes 2 years to like get to the root of a problem, even though I probably could have forced them to stick on my path for 6 months and gotten the same results, I'm not going to do that. Because how is that going to leave them feeling, you know, after they finish working with me and then a year and a half later they're back at the start. Whereas the client I just finished working with, like, we got through a lot of her resistance and realized it's actually because she has a disorder. And it wasn't like, if I had just forced her from the beginning because our goals were to lose weight, feel, and to have a better relationship with food, right? We've worked together for a whole year and she hasn't lost weight, but realized along the way that it wasn't the weight that she wanted to lose. It's that her mind is actually unhealthy and needs help. But if I had forced her in the first 3 months of working together to go on a deficit and to do all of these workouts and to do all of these things because it works, it's the most optimal way to lose weight, think about where she would be today, like with her disorder. And I'm actually so glad that she's getting help now, and like, you know, actually letting go of that client was like an emotional affair for me almost, because like we worked through so much together, and it's that like bittersweet moment of like I actually couldn't have helped her, but I couldn't have known a year ago, because the presenting symptom is so surface level, and I feel like we worked through 100 layers to get to the problem. Okay, this is actually this, you know. And also because you can't force humans to open up. Like, as much as you think that what they're telling you is the truth, sometimes it's like they're presenting a version of you that they think you want to see. And I think that's something that I will learn and take into future things with everything that I do, is that like people will present versions of themselves that they think other people want to see, which is why I think a lot of people on social media get caught up and like lose themselves or feel like they need to reinvent themselves, because they created an image that isn't an actual representation, a correct representation of them, but something that they think would get them famous or would get them views, you know. Anyway, that was a whole tangent on that you asked on optimal, but that's my thoughts, like,
I didn't say optimal.
on the whole,
healthy.
like food, yeah, healthy. Does that answer the question? I feel like that you asked, like, do you feel like you got the answer?
Let me digest what you said for a second. Sort of. No, I'm just joking. Does it answer it? So the question was, is like meal prep healthier and all that? I think so. Yeah. Along the way that was answered, as well as like taking a deeper dive than just answering that. It was kind of like answering that and then also digging deeper to be like, well, what does that mean? What does health actually mean in that context as well? Not that we directly went into that, but it was like going a couple levels, layers deeper. Yeah.
Of course, mate.
Yeah. And I mean, the answer that I gave Ethan was a bit more surface level. I think it's kind of like health is contextual in that sense, but more so in the sense that it's like, if you have these things once a day, once a week, however often, these bad foods, or do these bad things that aren't meal prep and this, like the holy grail of healthiness in most people's opinions, but that allows you to live a healthier lifestyle, then, and overall your health is higher, then I'd say you could consider that thing net positive and healthy in that sense as well. Yeah, and not like eating out is inherently unhealthy, not to like lean into that and get ridiculous with it, but you know.
Also, on a more surface level, it's like the people who are arguing about, but is that healthy, probably don't even wear sunscreen. And I know that's so random, but it's like the sun is probably, like in Australia anyway, like quite a prevalent thing in terms of like cancer risk.
Do you want to do one more lap?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Because
they probably don't, you know,
wear that sunscreen.
And it's like, well, health, where are you looking to categorize health? You know, is health just what you eat? And actually, I was saying this for like something else that I was talking to a client about, which is like a business client, when she was deciding whether or not to leave her job. She was like, no, my psychic told me that it wasn't the right time because it wasn't the best time for me. But I highlighted the fact that it's like, one, because psychics, like, you know, are associated with, oh, they know the future. And I have, like, I'm not going to share, well, actually, I don't think, you know, I think they are doing something spiritually. Whether or not that thing is right, I think is no. But, like, you know, there are some psychics that do predict the future. I just don't think that is from God. Anyway, so I was saying, like, it's very easy for us to assume that just because that psychic is has these abilities, that every piece of advice they give is from that place of knowing your actual future. You know, like, we forget that they're actually human too, because if they weren't human and they truly had superpowers, they'd be living their best life. Do you know what I mean? Like, we just automatically assume that because she's a psychic, that every piece of advice is going to come from that psychicness, as opposed to her own human error and her own human, like, mechanisms. For example, I was saying, you know, she probably, like, her humanness, well, most people's human reaction to, like, oh, I haven't made a sale yet, but I want to quit, is like, oh, what about the money, you know? And we assume that because she's a psychic that she can't have that human reaction. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Yeah, anyway, so like, we assume that she can't have a human reaction because she's a psychic. That was a much more succinct way. It's also like, best in what way? Because, okay, yes, she's taking care of financially in her job, but every other aspect of her life is like suffering, you know? She's got really bad anxiety, she's dealing with like daily meltdowns pretty much, and like all of these things. And I'm like, well, is that the best choice for you? Like, are you zooming in on one specific area to be like, this isn't the best choice for me financially, but then ignoring all the other parts? And I think that's what people do with health, is like, they look at, oh, is this healthy for me in terms of what I eat? But they forget about, okay, exercise, sun exposure, probably stuff like how much screen time they get, all of these other things that contribute to health, but they just look at that one piece. And so it's like, okay, well, if being really healthy with your eating means spending 4 hours a week cooking and prepping, like, and it takes away from your family time and that enjoyment, like, is that really healthy? You know, like, are you going to look back in 80 years time and go, I'm so glad I was cooking my meals to hit my macros perfectly, instead of spending time with my parents or my grandparents? That was just an example. Obviously the family being like something that plays into health, because it also is like, you know, kinship is one of those pillars of health, I believe. Like your relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. You could say that about anything. Like, okay, am I going to look back in 80 years and go, I'm so glad I was cooking instead of spending time with Zeke and Timmy or you? Or instead of going for a walk, maybe. Most people don't even walk for 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother thing. Like, anyway.
Yo. Yeah, I need to pee.
Sure. I wish I could just give like a concise answer, but I actually don't wish that as well, because I think, yeah, my brain is meant to be this way.
Yo.
That's why I think I should be on the TED Talk stage. I have a lot to say.
You want to hold this for me?
Yeah. Anyway, we can cut this off probably.
Yeah, I just had one more thing I was going to say. Because I said there were two things. The only other thing was that, oh, it was just that question someone had about, like, oh, what about eating healthier? Sorry, eating out on a budget. And I was like, oh, different thing.
Make
So
more money.
I don't really want to, dive into that. Just get your bread up. Earn more money.
Oh,
Yeah.
oops.
You've ruined all the audio for that now.